What is this stained glass triangular stand with metal soldered edges and twisted wire hooks found in a second-hand shop? The staff have no idea either. Approximately 25 by 12 by 8 centimeters, and the material is acrylic or something to mimic stained glass. It has an old Tiffany-style solder beading and twisted wire form additional support braces, as well as 2 curved sections of wire extending from the edges of the shortest section. I cannot determine whether they serve a purpose. Google Lens Search thinks it's a wheel chock, which is wrong. It doesn't seem like it would be strong enough to hold much more than a few kilos. Any guidance would be greatly appreciated. I do stained glass, so I know this one. It's a stand for an oil wand kaleidoscope, one with spots for extra colored wands. You tilt them, and the small metallic pieces flow down through the tube and burst in front of the mirrors within the scope. I found this item in the US at a local Goodwill, and after some research, it appears to be a coin bank from Germany, but I'm really not too sure. It says 1871 on the side, and there are no marks on the bottom. Any help identifying what it is or any other information about it would be very appreciated. Thanks. It's a charity box, also known as an alms box, designed for collecting monetary donations for charitable purposes during the 19th century. Here's another one that says it's from the 16th century and is listed for £4,950, with the leather lips still intact inside to protect the contents until collection. It was used by churches, benevolent societies, hospitals, or other charitable organizations to gather funds for the poor, sick, or various community projects. I bought this in the US, assuming this was an early butter dish, but that doesn't quite make sense, as stick butter is a modern convenience. It's Copeland & Garrett, but I would love some help with the name and purpose. Thanks in advance. It's often called a razor box from the mid-19th century, but I would think it was also used for toothbrushes. Here's another from the same maker. The holes are for airflow, and the ridges are to keep the razor off the bottom surface of the box. It was made by Copeland & Garrett out of Ironstone in Staffordshire, England, from 1833 to 1847, and usually decorated with a transferware design. What a delightful little piece. What is this thing I picked up at Goodwill? I'm sure it's bronze and it's heavy, but is it an antique or from Amazon? I can't find any useful information on it. I appreciate any suggestions you can offer. It's an antique Khmer bronze palanquin hook. When members of the royal family or priesthood traveled in a public festival procession, or to a temple to make offerings, or participate in a ceremony, they would be carried in a palanquin, or a covered litter. This hook once supported a bronze ring from which hung a seat, like a hammock or swing. A wooden pole would have passed through the hollow socket at the top, and was carried on the shoulders of bearers. What is this thing I just found at my friend's house? I have no idea what it is. Around 7 centimeters in diameter, 10 centimeters tall, with a round and solid wooden handle. Can anyone help with identifying what it is? It's an antique pastry pricker, dating to early 20th century. It was usually used for things like biscuits and flatbread. The needles are pricked into the dough to prevent air bubbles and to make sure it cooks evenly. What is this symbol or decoration on the side of a small world at Disneyland Paris? It seems too irregular to just be general decor. I feel like it must represent something. Any ideas? It's a type of astronomical clock. The design work for this piece was inspired by clock towers in Prague, where you can find similar clocks. The Prague astronomical clock, known by the locals as the Prague Horloge, is the oldest astronomical clock in the world. It is located on one of the walls of the Old Town Hall, and the building has been serving its function since 1338. The oldest part of the horloge, the mechanical clock and astronomical dial, dates back to 1410. Formerly, it was believed that the horloge was constructed in 1490 by clockmaster Hanus. According to legend, Master Hannes, instead of receiving a reward for his work, was blinded by the city authorities. Such a drastic step was taken to ensure that he could never again build anything as beautiful as the horloge clock. In turn, he disabled the clock, and no one was able to repair it for the next 100 years. It was repaired in 1552 and stopped working many times in the centuries after that, and was repaired many times. The worst period for the Prague astronomical clock turned out to be during World War II. It was almost destroyed after the Germans set fire to the town hall. The mechanism returned to its place only in 1948. At that time, most of the mechanical components were replaced, and the original figures were replaced with faithful replicas. What is this structure found in the mountains on a hiking trail in Italy, near Monte Altissimo? It looks very rusty, and it is not a billboard. There is nothing written on the front. It is in an open space with no narrow valleys nearby, and the lake seen in the photo is Garda Lake. I would love some clarification if anyone knows about it. It's a repeater for radio signals, used to redirect microwave and UHF radio signals over and around mountains and tall buildings that obstruct direct line-of-sight paths. These reflectors eliminate the need for numerous active repeater stations, reducing the cost of high-density radio relay networks. What are these very heavy brass cylinders that we use as bookends? I've always wondered what they actually are. It has some formula stamped on one side, and I guess a date August 22nd, and possibly 1974. The other side has 3 mounting holes and a couple of numbers. Can you please help me identify what this thing is? It's a soft gel encapsulation mold, invented by Robert Pauli Scherer in 1933. The dies contain recesses in the desired size and shape, which cut out the ribbons into a 2-dimensional shape and form a seal around the outside. At the same time, a pump delivers a precise dose of fill material through a nozzle incorporated into a filling wedge, whose tip sits between the 2 ribbons in between 2 die pockets at the point of cutout. After encapsulation, the soft gels are dried for 2 days to 2 weeks, depending on the product. What is this tool I found in Berlin's Museum der Dinge, or Museum of Things? It looks like a hairbrush, but it has nails instead of bristles, and a zigzag metal strip on the back. My initial thought was a flax comb, but I'm not actually sure. Any ideas? Please let us know down in the comments. Thanks for watching. Let's make life fun.